I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you...
Roasting your favorite politician behind closed doors is one thing. Dragging him on national television, that's another level entirely. Bill Maher just did exactly that. For years, Maher has been pretty open about his admiration for Gavin Newsom, but now the shine has worn off and Maher isn't sugarcoating it anymore. On his latest show, he torched the California governor for what he called disastrous leadership, and let's just say it wasn't polite criticism. It was a full-blown verbal takedown. Savage, blunt, and the kind of TV moment that makes you lean in closer. Want more hot takes like this? Smash that subscribe button and stay tuned.
Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, home to 12% of all Americans and 50% of all Mexicans. On the upside, Newsom is the only governor, with the possible exception of Kristi Noem, who looks like they could do porn.
According to Bill Maher, the highlight of Gavin Newsom's entire legacy isn't his policies, his leadership, or even his hair. It's that he looks like he belongs in the adult entertainment industry. That's not just a jab, that's a full-on insult. And it stings even more coming from someone who once tossed praise at Donald Trump, of all people. Think about it. Being governor of one of the most powerful states in the union, and your crowning achievement gets reduced to, you could star in an X-rated flick. Ouch. Maher basically stripped Newsom's so-called accomplishments down to parody material. And when your own cheerleaders start roasting you like that, it's a flashing neon sign that your political brand isn't just slipping, it's tanking.
I don't want to say he really, really wants to be the guy who steps in if the current nominee goes down, but he gets an alert on his phone every time Biden can't think of a word. The downside is that governor of California is kind of like being conservator for Britney Spears. They'll attack him on California's homeless problem, but there's a response to that. The homeless can live anywhere, but they choose California.
California has become a magnet for the homeless, and why wouldn't it? The state practically rolls out a red carpet. Laws make it comfortable, convenient, and almost welcoming. But let's be clear, this isn't compassion, it's chaos. Under Gavin Newsom's watch, homelessness hasn't just increased, it has exploded. Instead of real solutions, his policies have turned sidewalks into tent cities and neighborhoods into sprawling outdoor shelters. And it doesn't stop there. Newsom's soft-on-crime approach has fueled California's growing lawlessness. Criminals get slaps on the wrist, victims get ignored, and everyday citizens are left paying the price. And the result? More homelessness, more crime, and a lower quality of life for everyone. That, in plain terms, is the Newsom.
Knock on Gavin has always been that he's slick. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. I notice slick is something no one has been accusing Biden of lately. Do you want good at talking or don't you? Newsom is the best communicator in the party with a history of standing up to bullies, and his name lends itself to the best slogan since I Like Ike. I'm having Gavin.
Legacy. Bill Maher has finally said out loud what many Californians have been thinking all along. Gavin Newsom is a slick politician with a little substance. Sure, he's polished, charming, and articulate, but behind the eloquence is nothing but air. Newsom has perfected the art of saying a lot while saying nothing. He strings together long, flashy answers designed to dodge tough questions and distract from his failures. He can hold a room's attention, yes, but speeches don't fix rising crime, exploding homelessness, or collapsing quality of life. This isn't leadership. Californians don't need another soundbite. They need solutions. And when even Bill Maher, once one of Newsom's admirers, starts tearing him apart on live TV, maybe it's time the rest of the country wakes up too.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want for running president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but it doesn't.
Let's be clear. Gavin Newsom has no chance at the presidency, not after what he's done to California. No amount of slick PR can erase his record. The state he governs has become the poster child for decline, and its residents are fed up. California, once the jewel of American innovation and prosperity, is now hemorrhaging businesses, jobs, and even celebrities who refuse to stomach his reckless economic policies. The exodus is at historic highs, the middle class is shrinking, and the cost of living is unbearable. The dream has soured under Newsom's watch. And here's the kicker, even many Democrats are starting to turn on him. When your own base says you've pushed progressivism too far, your national ambitions collapse before they even begin. Newsom's brand may play on talk shows, but the country won't gamble on the man who turned California into a cautionary tale.
Look at the swing states. There's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, I mean, California is an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in the state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language, you're not able to communicate, and you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department. Stuff.
On this point, Bill Maher nailed it. Gavin Newsom's failures go well beyond homelessness and a crumbling economy. His obsession with the woke circus is just as damaging. And voters across the country are sick of having identity politics shoved into every corner of their lives. California has become ground zero for progressive overreach, and Newsom wears that as a badge of honor. Take one of the most absurd laws Maher highlighted. Any toy store with more than 500 employees must now have a gender-neutral section. As if children in California can't just play with toys anymore, they have to make a political statement while doing it. This isn't leadership. It's ideology dressed up as policy. And ordinary voters see right through it. They roll their eyes and think, if this is the future, then Gavin Newsom will never be president.
Too much government there.
That's an interesting one, because the department stores came to us supporting that. And they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case, they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know what the top priorities are: homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top.
And that's the essence of Gavin Newsom's act. The polished politician who never gets accused of being clueless. He knows the problems. Of course he does. Everyone does. Homelessness is exploding. Crime is climbing in major cities. Businesses are fleeing under crushing taxes. These aren't secrets. They dominate the headlines daily. Awareness isn't leadership. You don't become a hero just for knowing the house is on fire. You pick up a hose and put out the flames. But Newsom confuses recognition with action, hiding behind slick speeches and catchy phrases. The truth? Words don't reduce crime. Words don't balance a budget. Words don't build affordable housing. California is still burning, and Californians are still waiting.
Good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome.
Because
That was my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff. And then whenever I read 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds. Right. No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds.
You're right. California's water crisis isn't about long showers or green lawns. Agriculture gulps down more than 80% of the state's supply, and almonds alone take a massive share of that. Think about it. In a state infamous for droughts and wildfire summers, residents are lectured to ration every drop. Shorter showers, dead lawns, guilt trips at the faucet. Meanwhile, behind the curtain, billions of gallons are pumped over endless almond orchards. Why? Because corporate agriculture has the political muscle to keep the water flowing. Almonds are cash, and cash talks louder than citizens. So while Californians are told to live like it's the end of the world, agribusiness drains the state dry. It's a brutal irony. Water meant to sustain life is fueling profit, and the people are left thirsty in a land of fire and drought.
What? See, I'm telling you're good at this job. Okay, but here's, I feel like the last couple of years you've like purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what? Well, but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, oh, this is a blue state and that's a red state, and I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. This has been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country. That said, I'm not going to sit back and watch. You made the point just a moment ago in your monologue. You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse, rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but...
No one spins words quite like Gavin Newsom. With his polished voice and smooth delivery, he could probably sell sand in the desert. Every press conference, every interview, he dazzles with talk of bold solutions and reimagined leadership. But strip away the glitter, and the reality isn't nearly as pretty. Californians still face the same problems every single day. Homelessness is climbing, crime is rampant. Businesses are packing up and leaving under crushing taxes. What Newsom offers isn't progress, it's performance, a carefully staged act of political theater. He isn't fixing problems, he's narrating them. And while the headlines swoon over his eloquence, Californians are left stuck in the same broken system. Words can sparkle, sure, but words don't lower rent. Words don't pave roads. Words don't make neighborhoods safe. For all his brilliance on stage, Gavin Newsom still hasn't proven he knows how to lead off it.
A boatload of almonds.
I'm well aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Yeah. Come on, man. Take on big almond.
Take on big almond.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
No. You're right about it. It's not that we don't have the water. That said, the last couple of years were tough. I mean, but it's also where the water's falling and we're not capturing it. And we're not capturing in those extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta conveyance project back up and operational, and includes the first above ground off stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California.
Gavin Newsom is the definition of woke politics in a suit. And if America ever hands him the presidency, buckle up. Because what he's done to California, he'll do to the entire country. Just look at his record. The Golden State, once a beacon of innovation and prosperity, is now drowning. Homelessness has exploded. Businesses are fleeing in droves. Crime and drug addiction plague the streets. And the middle class, crushed under some of the highest taxes in the nation. California should be a model of success. Instead, under Newsom, it's a warning label. He's a master of flashy sound bites and photo ops, but behind the carefully staged speeches and designer suits lies failure, real failure. This is the same playbook we saw under Obama: charm, pretense, and polished theatrics. While the real problems, homelessness, crime, borders, and the economy, only got worse. Obama sold hope, but delivered division. Newsom sold a utopia, but left California in ruins. And now some people want to hand him the keys to the entire country. America can't afford another actor in the White House. We need problem solvers, not pretenders. California was the warning shot. Ignore it and the whole nation pays the price. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.